Like, kind of take us back to that time where, you know, maybe you were working somewhere at a job and you had envisions of Black Girl Ventures. I know it came from somewhere, so take us back to that early time.
Yeah, I mean, it really feels like it came from thin air. I think a lot of times, like solutions that founders create, because I wasn't initially thinking, let's start Black Girl Ventures. I prior to this, I have some companies. I've always lived a lot of lives. I'm that person, right? I worked so many jobs. I was a K through 12 teacher for a while. I'm a computer scientist in training, so I used to teach high school students AP computer science. Then I worked for the patent and trademark office for a little bit. I have done everything from selling black vacuum cleaners in college to having my own web development company. I mean, I'm all about a hustle. Like I want to get the money, right? I'm like trying to make things work. Um, I am also a performance poet. I worked in workforce development for a while, and through workforce development, so interestingly enough, and I tell people all the time, if you look back over the course of like all the things you've done, so people say like, "Oh, I'm starting over." I'm like, "You're not starting over. You're starting from here." Because you have so many skills that you gather over the course of your life that you brought to the table that you may not have counted because you didn't think it fit on a resume. I mean, the greatest work experience I
Facts.
probably had was selling vacuum cleaners. Because I
I
mean, think
sold
about it.
Kirby's. I sold Kirby's.
Look,
So
I mean, think about it. You have to
yeah,
go to somebody's door, get them to let you in their house to show them something they already own. Like so it's like, and then you have to show them why it's better. If that is not the best preparation for fundraising, I don't know what is. But fast forward to a couple years before starting BGV, I'd actually had gotten laid off twice. And so I did the only thing that a person that has gotten laid off twice could possibly do. I called the psychic hotline because I didn't know what was happening to my life. I was like, what is going on? I don't get laid off, not me, right?
yeah.
So, I mean, the woman, she told me, California Psychics, I'm not suggesting that you call them. They should give me a sponsorship. I should reach out to
Mhm.
them for that. But she said, when you find the thing you want to do, the money will come. And so I was like, I'm starting a business. Like I was going to start a business anyway. And much like, people out there who you have people around you who are like, oh no, I don't think you should do that. Girl, that's crazy. Why would you do that? You better go get that good government job. um, and so at first I didn't, but then when I got laid off, I said, you know what? I'm not going back to work for anyone. You don't get to look at what I've been doing for the past 5 years and then determine that that's worth 60K or that's worth 75K. I'm like, I'm worth 10 times that. So I just started trying things, to be honest. I mean, one of the first things I did was I built a teepee in my living room. While I
Mhm.
have Native American roots, um, I was just thinking about ingenuity. Like, okay, here I was with this empty living room and children, so I couldn't like Airbnb. So how could I use Airbnb? And then how could other women or single moms use Airbnb to make more money? And then how could traveling women find a safe place to stay? So all these things were in my head building this teepee. It wasn't just about having a tent, right?
Mhm.
So I build it. Everybody thinks I'm crazy. They're like, nobody is gonna sleep in your living room in a teepee. I say, yes, they will. Watch. They're like, no, no, they won't. I'm at Home Depot. I didn't even know how to drill a hole, to be completely honest with you. And I'm gathering wood, and the associates are like, what are you doing? And I told them I'm gonna build a teepee, put it in my living room, and I'm gonna rent it out. I had a friend of mine who's about 6 feet tall. I had him like laying on the floor in between sticks to see if a 6 foot tall person can fit in a teepee. And he's like, nobody's gonna sleep in your living room in a teepee. And I said, yes, they will. Watch. So Airbnb has a teepee option.
Really? Didn't
Aha.
know that.
I know. Nobody did, evidently. At least none of the black folks I knew, right? So
Mhm.
I put it up on Airbnb and I had so many people who wanted to sleep in it. But after I let one woman come and sleep in it, I learned a few things.
Uh-oh.
One, I learned what safe space really means. So in my mind, I wanted to create a safe space. But if all of us walk into a building that is structurally sound, technically it is a safe space. But safe space means safe people.
Mm-hmm.
So while I was doing my best to provide this, what I thought was safe space, she was having disruptions in her own life, the woman who did stay. And so it made the space a little bit unsafe. Um, Another thing that I realized is like, it's not if you build it, you will come, they will come. I don't know if you build it, they will come. But if you market it and if you brand it, they will definitely buy some of it. Okay. Like I learned that.
True.
That's what I learned. Make it look great. Because when I say TP in my house, it's like, what? Like a Native American tent? Like when you see it, it's like, oh, I might sleep in that. Right. Two different things. So moving on, that didn't work out. And I don't look at it as a fail. I look at it as like I had to put it to the side. Failure is a mechanical term, and I don't think it should be contributed to. It shouldn't be an attribute of humans, unless we're talking about your systems. But if you're still moving, thinking, breathing, you have not failed. You have just put things to the side. All right. So I put the TP to the side because it needed a little bit more money, and I didn't need to make some money. And I came up with a t-shirt line and a print shop, and I launched them simultaneously. So the t-shirt line was called Made by a Black Woman. The print shop was called Miss Print USA. So the people loved it. My mom was my first investor. She gave me her retirement money actually to invest in the t-shirt line. I used my tax returns to buy my own machines. And then I started printing for like small influencer brands who now became bigger influencer brands. And that was what I was doing. I was on that journey. But through that, I learned how to vend. So I learned how to get face to face with customers and like sell at the table. I learned through supply diversity. I learned how to get into working with corporations. And I started working with Google doing some training. So by the time Black Girl Ventures came along, it really was because the news had come out. Black women are starting businesses at 6 times the national average, yet receiving less than 1% of venture capital. And I knew that journey firsthand because my mom used she used her retirement to help fund me. So I knew the access to capital journey. And so I was like, you know what? I mean, it really wasn't a lot of thought, to be honest. And I mean, I'm guessing like some things out there, you people who may have started things, maybe some things were long and deep thought and was a whole 20-page business plan. And some things were like, let me just write this out in bullets and try something. And that's literally what this journey has been like in the beginning, at least. That hustle took me to a certain point, but the strategy takes you to the next level. So I had a brand already from doing performance poetry. So I put it up on meetup.com. People came, 30 women in a house in Southeast DC. We voted with marbles and coffee mugs. I cooked all the food myself.
Okay.
We threw the money in a hat, and 4 women pitched their business. We voted, and then I gave the money right back out. I really didn't think a lot about it at first. So in that moment, I was just thinking, oh, people are not giving people money. Let's do something about it. That's literally what I was thinking. And what we could do is engage people. So the way the pitch competition works, which was our core element for a long time, is that it's like Shark Tank meets Kickstarter. So imagine that, women pitch on stage and then the audience actually donates as a vote. So your dollars count as a vote for that founder, and then they win. We have winners. First place gets 10K, second place gets 6K, third place gets 2K, and on top of whatever capital you raise. And it's a tax deductible donation to us, and it's a grant program for the founders. We have more programming now, but I want to give you some space to ask me more questions.
Cool. So what's so funny is because I was about to say Christiana, like that does sound familiar with how we actually started, because our first event was actually a pitch competition, right? And we had like 10 companies pitch and all that. So we were fortunate enough like to get Republic as a sponsor of that first event. Like, I don't even ask me how I like ran down Republic, but I did, right? And got that to work. But tell us about the moment where the light bulb went off. We was like, okay, they're not giving money, so let's provide money for these companies, right? So what was the process of building Black Girl Ventures? Was it like, okay, like I need a staff, or like what was that first? Let's narrow it down to 6 months. The first 6 months,
Oh
like what
Lord.
was that like? Like what was your plan?
Um, I don't know that I had much of a plan other than like, and it's interesting because I've been doing some different interviews and really trying to like dig into this because people ask me this so much. And for me, it's just like, I was just moving. Um, but if I take a pause and dig into it, what I knew is that I needed some help. So but I tested it first. So first it was, and I tested it without spending any capital, really. Not really. I mean, food and beverage. And then I was cooking it, or we were at a restaurant, things like that. And so it was smaller. And so we would, I started it in like October, I believe it was. And so we would have the event. People liked the first one. I said, okay, let's keep doing it. So, October, November, we did it again. By December, I said, okay, people really like this. And people were joining the meetup group. So I said, well, let me do a call for a volunteer team. So I did a call for volunteers. 6 women stepped up. So there was 7 of us. We had a brunch on like New Year's Eve of 2016. And I'm like, hey, y'all want to take this ride with me? We're going to try to build this thing out. And it was like, okay, we down. We talked about everybody's skill sets. And it was like, okay, this is how we're going to activate. And then we moved into, so speaking of like diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? So at first it was, Black women talking to Black women, which was great and fun and exciting. And we need those spaces. We need those affinity groups. And I said to myself, but this is not going to get us the money, or get me the money that I want to give away, or get us the money that we need. Like everybody can give to Black and brown people. It does not have to just be Black and brown people giving to Black and brown people. Everybody needs to understand that dollars are green. We could put the people who have the most need on the stage, and you can participate in that. And so we started moving, but it was a challenge because the title Black Girl Ventures, I got feedback that it made people who are not Black feel like they should leave that space sacred, right? And I appreciated that. And while I appreciated that, I still need your green dollars over here in this sacred space. Okay. So I changed it. So I created a tagline that says, everyone can attend, but Black and brown women will win. And then we moved into more diverse, open public spaces and started making the call for that. So we started doing it at different co-working spaces, make offices, WeWork. And then it started bringing in a different kind of audience in a good way. And really the effect that we have, that I don't even know, like, until you asked me that, I've stopped to really think deeply about those moments. But we were like really creating change, even in the fact that we were pressing that the power in this is a woman of color. And the power in this is putting people who have the need on stage. And the power of it was not allowing the 1% that typically happens at other competitions. And what I mean by that is, at our competition initially, when it was small, the entire audience could raise their hand and ask questions. And the audience is the judge. And even now that we're bigger, we might have a couple of people who ask questions that are on the panel, but the audience is a determining factor. What I saw in your traditional pitch competition is it's mirroring the problem. So if less than 1% of people get venture capital, then when you're at a pitch competition, you're in a room of 100, 200 people, and only 3 to 4 of them get to have a voice. And then they get to make the decision. So I didn't want to recreate the problem over and over again. So I'm like, you know what? We're not doing that. And that it really became a unique way of people getting engaged. So the audiences got bigger and bigger, but it wasn't like I was making any like money off of it for real, right? So I was like, okay, what am I going to do? Because I got to live, and I got this other business booming and thriving. Like my print shop was rolling. And by that time, I was doing deals with Amazon and Google employees. I was doing conferences. I was doing, so it was like me trying to manage this while this thing that I love, which is Black Girl Ventures, is growing.
So
And we do
basically
have a
what you,
monetization.
not to cut you off, but basically what you were saying is you did not want to live at 9410 Cardboard Box Lane. That's basically what you just said. Like, I feel you.
Right.
I feel you.
Yes. And so we had to scale, figure a way to scale, and figure a way to level up. So I started doing some work with Google, doing like community training. I was a Google digital coach for DC. And this is when they first launched the programs. I was one of the like original 8 folks. And so I said, okay, I got this contract. I'm gonna put my business on pause for 3 months.
Mhm.
If Black Girl Ventures does not kick off in 3 months, it's gotta go. But I'm gonna give it all of my attention for 3 months. Now I'm the kind of person that you can't tell to just do one thing. That's not my jam. I can't do one thing. I can do 2
You sound like
things,
somebody I know.
but not just one. Right. So when people say to me all the time, like, how do you balance doing multiple things? I'm like, you have to time block it. So doing more than one thing at a time doesn't mean you have to do them all in one day, because you can't possibly stretch all of your attention. And I will give anybody the advice of like taking 3-month stabs at any business idea you have. Give it 3 months, right? Think about it, do a business plan canvas, write down, because what I developed, to be honest with you, is my formula for execution. That's what I did over the course of all of that traditional employment. That's what I did when I launched the web development company. That's what I did when I was doing t-shirts. That's what I did. Like, basically, in the background, you don't even realize that you are actually developing your own playbook for success. Right. So by the time I landed on Black Girl Ventures in this way, what I was really activating was my like unspoken, unwritten, in the back of my head playbook. And that was write it out. I'm a vision, like I'm really woo-woo. So I also let y'all know that. Like, I'm all about the yoga and the, and the meditation and the like and the stones and the crystals and all the things. So I'm like, okay, I need to write this out. Like, what do I want from this? How do I want it to go? I'm all about putting words out into the universe. I'm all about visualizations, like putting things in front of you. And I had to start listing out what I wanted. And my first mark was, I need to live if I'm going to lead a movement. So I need to build this to be able to be sustainable for my community, but I can't pour from an empty cup. So I need to figure out this dance of what that's going to look like. When I started working at Google, I started using I got a partnership with another side of Google. Mm-hmm. So relationship building is really key. Like, make sure your relationships are intact. And while they can be transactional, they should still feel authentic. And they should still be truly genuine. Right? Because transactions are cool. That's fine. But you wanna feel like there's an exchange, there's a collaboration with it. So that's probably one of the, I'll say that's the biggest thing I think founders should know. That's one of them anyway, is you got to build relationships.
Okay. So I'm about to switch up this whole event right now. Okay. So I got a whole bunch of questions, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to involve everyone in here. We got enough folks. You want to ask questions, let's get into the conversation. So we're going to do that. I do have one more question though before we get into that. When you started Black Girl Ventures, was the wave of getting Black women entrepreneurs there yet, right? Or was it not there yet to where you did it and then maybe a year or two into it, like it caught that wave and now, people are really noticing and really paying attention to the women entrepreneurs that are out there doing their thing?
I think that the Project Diane report highlighted some things. That's where that stat came from about, Black women starting businesses at 6 times the national average, and then a couple other research reports that followed it up. I think when you say getting, what I think you mean is like the attention on the visibility, the wanting to. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, wanted to help, wanted to pour money into that from the mainstream, I guess.
No.
Okay, this what we here for. Let's keep it a buck.
I can't. I mean, it's hard to say that like there was no one wanting to, help Black and brown women. Like I can't say that because that would not be true if I would have said there was no one. Of course, I think we all can attest to what I call the awakening that happened after George Floyd's murder, right? Like, of course, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like it is now in terms of like this, visibility on the Black community and the need to do something about it. No, it wasn't. Not for the Black community, period, not just women. But I would say that there are a lot of efforts, and there's a lot of entrepreneur support organizations like you and I who, are out there doing the work diligently all the time. And there are some foundations and community organizations that are better at, funding our kinds of our type of organizations. And then there, so I can't say that the work wasn't being done, but was it a mainstream communication? Not so much.
Okay, great. I appreciate that. Now we're about to turn it on to everyone here and that's joining us. So please, if you do have a question or a comment or anything like that, please unmute yourself and ask the question. We want to have a dialogue before we get up out of here. So please, anyone, if you have any questions or comments.
Or anybody want to do a quick pitch? I'm down for some live feedback. What's up?
Let's not be shy. Now's not the time to be shy.
I don't always offer that for free, but I got you.
Did someone say something?
So we have two people. We have Tara, I believe, is wanting to share, and I think we have Betty Wong that wants to share as well. Tara, why don't you go first, and then Betty next?
Sorry, and I am not on camera. Hi, Shelly. How are you?
Hi, I'm awesome. So good to hear your voice.
Hi, good to see you too. I'm taking ferocious notes. So one of the questions that I have, as I work a little bit as a foundation person and a funder in the ecosystem. One of the things that I continue to hear is really about helping entrepreneurs to scale. What are some of I love your model and the organization board that I sit on here in Hartford, Reset, which I know Sarah and Emily here in Hartford at Reset because they were part of the cohort that you were in. They've actually adopted your model. But one of the things that we continue to struggle with is, they've adopted the model of letting the audience vote and all that and really decide where the funding goes. But how do we help people scale? What other funding options should folks be looking at? I mean, I love what you're doing, but in terms of, kind of like scaling, getting to the next level, how are you directing the entrepreneurs to go from your model to that next phase?
Yeah, that's a great question, Tara. So Black Girl Ventures focuses on 3 phases, 3 pillars: community, capital, and capacity. So capital that's the one that everybody knows the most because everybody needs capital, right? So everybody knows most about the pitch competition, but we also have a 6-week accelerator that comes after the competition. And then we have a 9-month fellowship program that's in market. So that's what we work with, like partners like Kroger in Cincinnati, Nike in Chicago, to actually move people from like just business owners, but thinking about business leadership. So thinking about how you actually navigate your ecosystem, which is a huge part of it. And then there is communities, and we have virtual communities where weekly women are meeting up all day on Wednesday. We have virtual co-working, and it's become a peer mentoring space. So I think that one of the things that entrepreneur support organizations have to be clear on is that we're not God, right? We don't have a magic wand for everything. Like part of our responsibility is to create the container for other people to work together, because business ownership doesn't always happen from like an entity out, right? So some of it is going to be you learning from other entrepreneurs that are on a journey with you and you talking through some of your challenges. Throughout the pandemic, we saw this space of peer mentoring being huge because people were people's businesses were failing or closing. And so them being able to say, girl, go here and do this. Well, I'm applying for this. Hey, come with me and let's do this thing together. We've had people partnering. Another thing that we do, so a couple of things. We do this internal program called a Customer Discovery Blitz. And that is all about getting our founders to build relationships with the corporations that we partner with. So there's about 50 corporate employees and there's about 20 of our founders. And they are in like a hyper focus, almost mentor madness session to create relationships. That's the thing about supply diversity. You could be on a list, but if you don't have relationships with these corporate employees, you may or may not get called on. So I think we got to figure out ways, Tara, to build relationships. I think like putting the emphasis. So there's three things that underrepresented founders face: lack of access to capital, financial capital, lack of influential networks, and lack of ability to hire. And honestly, if you ask me, the lack of influential network is the one that is constantly the barrier. And it's so hard because we haven't yet figured out how to scale being in a relationship. Like, in my opinion, adults ain't that great at being friends. So I think like we're still trying to figure out like, what does it mean to put you in a space? And this is why I love what Luis was saying. Like, hey, if you're in these virtual spaces, drop your stuff in the chat, ask a question, make yourself visible, because everybody's at home for the most part. I mean, we're starting to get back outside now, but so you use this opportunity to build relationships with people. So we have those programs, Tara. I will also say that the thing about like venture capital or funding in general, is that one founder will be told that they are not eligible, right? For whatever reason, their business model, their business type, where they are in business, phase, location, multiple things. But then, 2 weeks later, they'll see another business that they feel like looks just like them. They got funded. And they're like, wait a minute. I thought I wasn't venture backable. Like, wait a minute. I thought I could get that loan. Well, what did they do that I didn't do? And the thing that I feel like the gem that we are not giving to some of our founders on the back end as much as I think we should is, do you have a business model at all? And what does your business model dictate you can do? The funding can't always dictate what you can do. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Your business model actually dictates what you do. Now, when you have more funding, you have more freedom to play with your business model. And that's where the capacity to figure it out comes from, because you have more funding. But investors don't want to take that risk. You don't want to take that risk with a loan. And if you don't have that capital, like from your friends and family, then it gets hard. So I wonder often, how can I get founders to hackathon style, all day long, all night, your business model until you land on a process that is scalable, fundable, and can actually really work for what you see it can do, right? Because sometimes that's mismatched. What founders think they can do and what the business model will actually do is sometimes mismatched.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you.
No problem.
Go ahead, Betty.
Thank you, Luis, and thank you, Shelly. I'm really enjoying what you're talking about, and I really like the idea of your pitch competition and getting the audience to participate and vote by sharing their dollars. So do you see more opportunities for this type of growth in investors in a crowdfunding model? Like, do you see that happening, like one next step? Because you just said, it's probably not realistic for venture to be involved, but you want to expand beyond friends and family. So do you see yourself creating a crowdfunding platform for Black and Brown founders, or founders of color? Or is that a possibility?
So wait, I want to back up, because I am not saying that venture shouldn't get involved.
Oh, no,
like we absolutely no. I just want to make sure. we do have venture backable companies in our portfolio, and we have companies that are venture backed in our
No, I'm
portfolio.
just
So,
saying, yeah,
we-
let me clarify then. I'm just
okay.
saying that the number, you actually mentioned this earlier, the amount of venture funded Black and brown companies is minuscule. And the amount of women owned companies is minuscule. But what you're finding and what you're attracting are people who want to support other people, right?
That's
And
right.
your
That's right.
point is friends and family is one level and that gets you started, but you need more. So do you see, and I haven't seen this, have you seen a platform for growth opportunities for the ability for Black and brown founders, like just even the 37 people in this room, right, in the Zoom room, to give $50, right, for other, for the founders that you're talking about. Have you seen that? Is that happening? Are you planning to do that?
Yeah, so we have our own tech platform. It's called Raisify.co, RAISIFY.co. And so that's where we run all of the voting and donations. You do have Fun Black Founders. Renee is awesome, and we're going to be partnering with them soon as well. So one of the things or conversations that I'm having with people on the back end is, and I think to Tara's question too, what is the life cycle of a participant, period, right? Because like, I think that for so long we've had to kind of fight over the same dollars. So we're not competitive against each other person to person, but like the reality is our entities also compete for dollars, right? So we're all trying to figure out those dollars. I would love a world where like everybody in a program is a participant, and oftentimes people go from program to program to program to program. It'd be awesome if that was able to be measured in some way, or if a group of us just got together and said, you know what, when they come through here, they're gonna do this, okay? And then when they get to you, because you're the pickup from where I left off, or you're the complement to where I am, we're gonna get them here. And that's like Renee and I from Fun Black Founders are having that conversation now, where it's like, hey, even iPhone women of color is like, well, if they're not ready to go to a crowdfunding level that you're at, then they start here. So with traditional crowdfunding platforms, you have to already have a network. And if one of the things that underrepresented founders are facing is that they don't have a network, then there's an opportunity cost to crowdfunding in the traditional way. So one, you have to go out and have create the video and the look and the feel and the marketing pieces. Two, you have to have already had a network to really, really raise substantial capital. Like we're talking like going up to like 100 plus K. You really have to have a network locked in. You can't just create a campaign and share it out. Hope people say yes because they're your friends, they're your family. Like it doesn't work that well. So at Black Girl Ventures, we influence alongside them. So if you're thinking about going to a traditional crowdfunding platform, we're probably a really great starting point so that you can kind of get your feet wet on what it means to even crowdfund with a little bit of a safety net. So you're not like creating all these things, jumping out there, spending all this time, and then maybe not ending up meeting any goals. Another thing about our platform is because we do influence alongside them, people are selling their products and services just by being a part of the competition and heightened visibility. So we highlight our founders. For example, one woman, we did a post about her in our email list and she got a 40% uptick in sales. One email. Another woman, we listed her in our 10 women to watch. She has a yogurt company. And then she was contacted by Dan and Ventures, Dan and Yogurt. So we realized that our power is in the capital, but it's in the visibility and the networking for our founders.
Ask a question?
Yeah.
And Nancy had her hand up, I think, though.
Oh,
Or
okay.
I don't know which one was first.
Ladies first.
Oh, that's sweet of you. Hey, Miss Shelly.
How are you?
From my time at Google, but I'm doing well.
How you doing? Oh
I'm
my
so
gosh,
excited.
you know what? I
When
was
saw your
literally thinking
name,
about you the other day.
I
We gotta connect because I was like, you know what? I need to find her. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes. So for everybody here, my name is Nancy Douillon. I actually run a UX consultancy, user experience consultancy, focused on helping enterprises build for the world. Shelly's probably clapping because I'm usually responsible in the large corporations like Cisco, Google, Intel, for building out their platforms globally. But now, because of such a demand, I run my own consultancy, and I've been teaching large scale platforms around the world. So I have clients everywhere.
Listen, y'all better connect with Nancy, okay?
Yeah,
Nancy is the truth. I'm telling you.
Yeah, so I've been an engineer, I've been in product. And so here's my question for you. Last year, after the George Floyd incident, about $100 billion was donated out to the Black community in some aspects. And it's now, coming up to his anniversary on May 25th. And we're like, what happened with the money? What's going on? What shift has happened? So I'm actually really curious with the partners that you're building, because you're building partners who really, like you talked about, Dana and Yogurt, want to make impact. Part one is like, what are they getting out of it? Do they actually care? Or are they planning to like, not just put their money where their mouth is, but to help like take folks to the next level? And then the next part is, are you seeing it more potentially as like a PR kind of situation fix? It might be the kind of the same question, or is it something that you're then building further relationships on? You're not just taking it, but you're like, and what accountability are you holding against some of these partners that you have, if you are holding any?
Well, listen. So that's such a great question, and people ask me this all the time. So I think I think that it should be openly addressed, right? So during what I call the awakening, right? There was we were on calls all day, like it could be like 7 a.m. to literally like 10 p.m. because catching people from the West Coast. We want to, hey, we want to learn about what you're doing. We want to give I was on some calls where I barely even introduced who I was before they were like, we want to give you $40,000. We're going to give you 20. We want to announce it tomorrow. Is that okay? Is that good? But so what I'll say is there are partners that came to us that I feel are absolutely about that life. And they are like, look, because you know what? And you know this firsthand, Nancy, it's the employees. The corporate employees are the real MVPs. And I would say it across every platform. Shout out to corporate employees, because they took advantage of that moment and said, we want you to work with these people that we want to work with. So a lot of it is us working together to hold these entities accountable. And I think that's what's different about this. It's not just the entities, like it's not just us on the outside having to hold them accountable. The internal employees are like, we're not doing this anymore. We're not doing, one of the things, let me see, I want to be mindful as I talk about it. But I would say one of the things that I saw, so there were some game changers for us, right? And then there was some like people who came that were game changers behind the scenes. But a lot of the conversation that we had is that people really being genuine. I mean, really were like, and I mean, and some small, and we had a lot of small businesses come to us. So you saw the fanfare. I mean, like not fanfare as if it wasn't real, but people may have seen the bigger entities because those are the ones with the dollars to put the announcements out. But we had so many small businesses that came to us. It was truly amazing. Like the beauty industry. So the beauty industry took a little dip at the beginning of the pandemic, but then they stabilized and they kept it moving. Those businesses, they came out behind the scenes and they worked with us. They gave us capital. They did content. They talked to our founders. They talked to our founders about everything from packaging to selling to marketing. They did several sessions with us. We were doing like every Tuesday. We put out about somewhere around, from like maybe like June. From June to June, we put out easily over 175 like webinar sessions with our community. Like we were like on every Tuesday, we had partners coming, law offices, like it. So, and people were saying to us, like, we read about you. So it wasn't even just like, some of it wasn't like, let's just give you dollars. Some of it was like, they vetted us out deeply. They looked at everything we wrote. They looked at our whole website. They went down our Instagram timeline. They read everything they could find about me. They read every article. I mean, it was interesting to hear from them in the way that we did. So what I could say, what I feel comfortable to say is that the people that came to me, I am holding them accountable. Their employees are holding them accountable. And they did put their money where their mouth is. All right. I'll also say that what was unique is that they didn't try to make me do it the way they wanted me to do it. They let me do what I wanted to do to serve my community. And that's what I have been manifesting. Like, get out of my way and let me serve my community the way that I see best to serve my community. And the community felt that. And they were gracious about it. You know, I'm in a meeting and Nike's pitching to me. You know, it was like, you know, and I am like in tears. You know, I was playing it cool in the meeting, Nancy. Now I was being a boss in the meeting. Okay. But, you know, later I'm like, oh my God, you know, like this is amazing. And the amount of impact that we reached. Experian came to us and they said, we got a goal of reaching 15 million people. How many people can you reach? Now, mind you, I didn't know what I was about to do. So for everybody out there, I had a business coach that told me, listen, get the bag, then figure it out. If you don't know what you'll figure it out because you're a figured out kind of person. Get the bag, then figure it out. So I was like, 3 million. Right now, I don't know what I'm about to do. Okay. I'm like, how am I going to reach 3 million people? Like, I went back to the team later, like, y'all, I don't know what we're going to do. Call somebody. I don't know. So, but we ended up reaching 8 million people by March. And this was like, they came to us in August, I believe it was. Because you will figure it out. Right? Like, you will figure it out. You have the ingenuity inside of you as a person of color, in my opinion. You will figure it out. Your ingenuity, your diligence is bred in your DNA. You will freaking figure it out. You're not gonna say no. When Nike came to us, I was there, you know, they're telling me what we're gonna do. Like, hey, you know, what do you think about this? And I said, you know, I want a commercial. And the girl was like, well, I don't think we can do that right now. But I ended up in that commercial. So you got you have to, you know, you just jump out there and ask. You know, if you got the relationship and you got the receipts, because and that's the thing too, Nancy, we had the work. We were doing the work for no money, with no capital. Like because we're a nonprofit and you can see all our 990s, I can tell y'all this. Our operating budget went from about somewhere around $250K to $3.7 million between then and now. We got a full staff. I'm trying not to cry, Lord. We have a full staff. We have with content about credit, not even like fancy influencer content. I mean, that's involved, but like this was educational content about like how to manage your credit during the pandemic. We reached 8 million people. We funded almost 100 more founders because we started doing 2 competitions a month because so many partners was coming to us. We have worked with global brands. Like, it's crazy right now, like in a good way, you know, and I feel super blessed and thankful. To be honest, I'm humbled by it all. I'm just excited that we can create this level of impact, to be honest. So people are concerned that corporations were being, not truthful. You know, all I can say is the people that came to me, you know, they have been sticking to their word about what they said they would do. And we're talking about multi-year deals. And honestly, it hasn't stopped. So some of the public fanfare might have stopped, but behind the scenes, it's still rolling. We still have people coming to us. We're still having more conversations. You know, we're looking at like working with HBCUs. So we got a couple of programs that'll be rolling out first semester with another large entity. We'll be announcing soon. Also just serving different. We partnered up with this ice cream brand and created our own ice cream flavor to use that ice cream flavor to fund more women-owned businesses to get UX, design, and branding support, because that's one of the places that you don't get funded for. Right. So I'm like, how can I create capital where there is none? And that's really how the competition came up with engaging people, is like ingenuity. if they're not, if they, you know, I call the they as an acronym is truth handlers educating you. That's how I look at it. But if they are not going to give us the capital, we're not going to not have capital. Like, we're going to go for it. We're going to figure it out. We're going to go find all the people that would give us some capital and make something happen. So yeah. Sorry, that was a long answer, but yeah.
Congratulations on like so much of your success. I'm beaming because I know you're the real deal. I know you, like, you know, there's some folks who are just skating off the marketing, but you're really, really the real deal, passionate, and you're impacting so many people. So I want to just thank you for just continuing to do the work, especially because you weren't trying to do it to make millions, I think, but you were really about that life to really change people's lives. And I hope everybody here knows how like a big deal you are.
Oh, thank you. Listen, Nancy, she knew me when I was shooting in the gym. Okay.
I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's dope. Go ahead,
Ken,
Ken.
I think, okay.
Okay, yeah, hi, yeah, okay, hi, thanks a lot. My name is Ken Granderson, and my main business is blackfacts.com, which is this, which I started in 1997. It's the world's first online Black history encyclopedia. I'm a Black tech pioneer. You know, my personal website.
I think I've heard of this before.
Oh, everyone. Well, we're the #1 Google search result for you know, Black facts. I put neighborhoods online 20 plus years ago. I put the government of St. Lucia online. I'm in the book Black Software. You know, I'm part of my early pre-internet stories there. So I'm one of the OGs of Black tech.
Nice.
So Black facts today for a monetization thing, because it was a passion project at first to introduce Black folks when they were first coming online to see ourselves reflected in technology. This is 1997, right? And so we come up with the revenue model that's based on what we call diversity technology solutions, software for companies who want to inform their employees or showcase their diversity initiatives on a tech platform that's 100% conceived, coded, created, owned by Black technologists. So we recently signed our first deal with a publicly traded company, Trimble Corp, via a DEI consultant and with support from their internal Black employee group. The consultant is getting a 20% commission, right? Just for the introduction and passive income. So we're looking to repeat and scale that process with all the DEI folks who are out there. Like, I literally have 1,000 of them in my LinkedIn thing. So my question is, how can we inform the DEI community of what we have to offer already? It's not ideas, this is stuff right now. If you go to blackfacts.com/diversity solutions, you'll see live demos of these brandable web widgets, you know, that will serve up daily Black history, text and video content that Trimble has had in their operation, $3 billion, 40 country, you know, 40 offices. But we need to figure out how to get folks in the DEI community to know that we exist. Because I build tech products all day, every day. That's what I do, but I suck at marketing.
So here's what comes to mind first. Do you want to sell this?
What's this?
Do you want to sell Black Facts?
The company?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Because there's definitely a sell player, but
no. We're looking to create a profitable. We're looking to be the Steve Jobs of the Black community. We create technologies. We don't grab stuff off the shelf. You know, I build my own platforms.
Okay, wait. Slow down, Ken.
So we're not trying to sell the business.
Wait. Slow down. So the reason why I ask you that is because, well, I want to back up a second. Selling is also a way to create revenue. Okay. But it's okay. It's okay. It's okay if you don't want to sell, but I just want to make it clear that sometimes, I think that as underrepresented groups, we look at selling as a negative and we look at acquisitions as a negative or mergers as a negative, but it's not at all. It is a positive. And it means a lot to even, be able to be positioned to scale. To sell, I'm sorry. So I'm not saying that you should sell, Ken. I just wanted to say, I'm just asking because one, you know, when I'm coaching, right, my job is to help you get to what you want. All right. And if you want to create something profitable, if you want to create revenue, that's what I'm hearing you want. So I'm going to tell you all the ways you can do that. Right. Okay. And if that's not the way, cool. So got it. So boom, we're not selling it. Now, my next thing would be, I'm wondering if there's a way to, so everybody should know that, like, when it comes to Black data, it's very sparse on us being studied when it comes to finances and things like that. You'll see things bundled a lot with like women of color, right? Or like people of color, or underrepresented groups, or but there's a lot of nuance around our life that has not been so public, right? So what Ken has is so important. Also because, you know, throughout history, we have been studied. Our data, our facts, our bodies have been stolen. Our DNA has been stolen. And that's not like me being, so everybody who's not a person of color or not African-American, like, that's not me being dramatic. Literally, you know, experiments on us have been done. And so a lot of these things were taken to actually create the medicine that you see today. So, and I say that because the importance of the data that you're able to bring in, Ken, if there's anyone on here who is a person in DEI already who could possibly network with Ken, or possibly want to see, you know, or hear more about what he has. I think hearing it the way you just expressed it, the first thing that may come to mind is like, well, what do you have? Right? Like, well, what do you have that Google can't find? What do you have that we can't look up in some blah, 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 blah? What do you have? And so it's actually not real that Black data is out there such that you can find it all, right? It's except for avenues like Ken. So now so in thinking of it that way, my next thought is, okay, I wonder if you have something that can actually plug into research systems such that you're getting money for research. So that's my first. So I love the DEI parts. And by your face, I'm guessing you've journeyed down some of this research avenue before. No, you ever plug into the research area?
No, don't know how that works. We getting paid $1,000 a month for a widget that we can do. I have 1,000 companies paying us for that. That serves Black daily. If you go to blackfacts.com right now, where you go to the page, so you will learn something brand new every day. There's no place else on the world you can get daily Black history.
Ken, do you want to make money? Ken, let me say something. You want to make money? What you want to do? You want to make money?
Yeah.
Okay. So while you figure out this part, what I'm explaining to you is that the money in data is huge. Like, there's money in data. If you have some data or able to drill down to some data that somebody else can't get, you have so much money there in the avenue of research.
I hear in the avenue of it's not my lane. I don't know anything about that versus what I have today. What I know, what I can easily do in my sleep, and it is generating revenue. And all we got to do is find a whole bunch more folks who want to get a check for making an introduction, and we can generate much more money than I need.
Is that all you got to do
right now?
Is that all you got to do?
Yeah.
So business model, and this is where, and it's so funny because I literally just said this to Tara. So business model wise, right? Yeah. You may have to diversify your revenue streams to sustain yourself so that you can do the part of the business model that you like, right? So if what you know is you need to go out and get X, Y, and Z DEI folks to buy in at $1,000 a month, then first things first, how many DEI folks do you need?
How many do we need? Did you ask?
To reach your break-even point or your sustainability, how many DEI folks so you said your business model is
like a break-even point, like 20.
Wait, time out. Did you just say 20 at the top? Like, 20.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We've been
so that's not 20.
We're doing all right. We're self-funded. We just need a few folks, to say yes, to know what we do, to be able to say, oh yes, in addition to the workshops or whatever, here's something that I can introduce them to, and y'all will pay me just for the introduction, and we'll sell it. We just need to have, a few of those, and we're okay. We're good.
So okay. Your business model is we almost like medical sales or door-to-door sales, or so you need to get a salespeople. Is that what you need? Okay, so people sell, they get 20% off the top, and this is the business model that you want to roll with. And this business model is going to get you to what revenue goal?
It multiply the amount. Our acquisition cost of the content is next to zero. The technology can scale almost infinitely. So, and it's already, and everything I build is set up from the beginning to be, very, very scalable. So we could have 1,000 clients and we wouldn't have to put another nickel into our infrastructure.
Well, who's getting paid to do the work?
I do all the work.
Right. So how much are you paying yourself?
Right now, I'm paying myself 10 grand a month.
Okay. Well, that costs something, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have zero overhead. There is some costs.
No. I'm saying to get more content. That's why I said if we had $20,000 widget customers, that would be 20 grand a month.
All right, but you paying yourself 10 grand a month.
Real quick. I'm just gonna hop in real quick. I think Shelly, you have a great trajectory on what you want to present to Ken. And Ken, I think you need time to really be open and listen to Shelly. And we have a couple of more people that really want Shelly's time as well. So I put Shelly's LinkedIn link in our chat box. Definitely go on there. Shelly, I know already you got a process on how to connect. I knew it was going to pop like this, girl, because,
It's
Chris,
okay.
it's a great
learning. I think it's a great learning. Thank you, Ken.
Yeah.
First, thank you, Ken, for sharing. I wish you well on what you're working on. I think that you should look for conferences and DEI professional associations. That's where I would start if I were you.
Oh, can I? I'm in. Hi, this is Lakia Hill. I'm loving this.
Wait, hold on one second, Lakia. Hold on one second for me. Shelly, we want to be mindful of your time. We've gone over time. Do you have some time to stay on a little bit longer? Maybe another 10 minutes. Again, we know you're extremely busy. If not, then again, we would direct folks to connect with you offline. But do you have a couple of more minutes to stay on, or do you have to go?
Okay, I literally do have 10 minutes and I absolutely cannot go over
we
that.
have the time.
But I want to make sure I answer Christian's question because he came off mute a while ago.
Yes, he did. Yes. Christian, do you want to ask your question to Shelly?
Yeah, thank you for giving me the floor, and thank you guys for setting up this incredible opportunity. This has been I've been learning a bunch. So my name is Christian Appia. I launched my business 6 months ago during a pandemic, business consultancy called the Brand Nubians. And when we launched the business, we have a B2B model, and our whole pitch is if people knew how to generate more revenue, they would. So we help fine tune the revenue generation process and simplify those tasks so that someone knows exactly what they're doing when they work on their business. And up to date, we have 8 clients. They've all been referrals. Half of them have us on retainer, and we've kind of stalled a bit in the sense that we're making anywhere between $5,000 and $8,000 a month just on our consulting. We've also decided to open up to do project management and deliver content, learning, bring people in to make websites, ad copy, things like that. And we're trying to understand, should we go after funding to help scale this business up, this B2B model that we have? We were considering doing an Indiegogo campaign, thinking about a bunch of different ways in which we could grow this business. And right now, our focus is Black-owned businesses, Black entrepreneurs, Black and brown entrepreneurs. And we're trying to figure out what to do next because we know that it works in the sense that people are coming back every month and people are referring their friends, but we're still at this very much friends and family stage. And we want to scale up to speak to larger businesses and corporations.
Have you gotten any feedback from your current clients as to what they're coming back, why they're coming back, and why
Yeah.
they are referring people? Yeah,
Yeah.
give me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so in terms of like our process, what we do is we work backwards from people's goals. So we take like literally over the course of 4 meetings in a month, once a week, we break down their goals, we work backwards. So we pair all their activity and make sure that they're eliminating anything that doesn't help them get to their goal. And we work primarily with early stage business. So it's like startups, people who have just launched, who are very much in this phase where they're trying to understand their own business model, what is valuable activity, what is revenue generating activity versus what is brand development and things like that. And they're coming back because one, after 3 to 4 meetings, they have a lot of clarity about what they can do, like literally a step-by-step list of, hey, when you open your laptop today and you want to work on your business, when you do these 3 things, this generates revenue. This results in revenue. Or this is your
What
sales.
level, question for you, because I mean, there's a couple different things that come to mind, but what level of company are you going after? So how much revenue does the company already have by the time you work with them?
So usually they're generating anywhere between 30 to 60K a month. So like really early stage, like, hey, they launched 2 years ago. I think our sweet spot up to date has been between 1 and 3 years in business. Our goal is to scale up to businesses that have like 10 plus employees and are generating between, for me, 100,000 to $250,000 a year would probably be a place where I think if we had 4 clients like that on retainer, we would be in a different space and be able to like explore different, opportunities to generate revenue aside from meetings and content creation.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question that may sound actually like a not so great or comfortable question. Okay.
Yes.
Is there any reason why you want to keep this in the realm of working with Black-owned businesses?
Well, personally, that's where I saw the greatest need. Before I launched the business, I worked at a nonprofit in Roxbury called Innovation Studio. It was at the Roxbury Innovation Center. And I spoke to maybe, as a program coordinator, I spoke to 120 entrepreneurs in the course of a year. And most of them were Black, women owned, like 60% of them are women owned. And they were all trying to figure out how to launch. And they were being constantly sent to accelerator program and incubator program, but they were always looking for grants and funding, which is, I think, what I'm doing today. But like someone saying, how do you make money just by like providing a service, providing value? That's where we saw a huge gap. They would come in and they would still not have peace of mind or clarity about, if I open my laptop today and do these 3 things or start this sales process, I can project this much income. Like there were very few people that could do that. So that's why we decided to start and focus with Black-owned businesses. However, since we've launched, we have worked with businesses that aren't Black-owned, but our focus has always been in that like sector.
Yeah, and I don't think that anything is wrong with that. I just think that this is a business service. And I think a great way to diversify your client base is to say, we're going to reserve a certain amount of our time or a certain amount of clients. We take a year, a month for Black-owned businesses to push them forward. But this could be, if you have a process that you could truly scale, you could be looking at people who just raised a round of funding as a really great client base, right? Because they're responsible. Their responsibility level is heightened at that point, and they need to continue making revenue or make more revenue. Also look up, opportunities for people who deal with like organizational development. So like what you do falls in the realm of organizational development and operational efficiency. Operational efficiency is not strategy, but in order for you to get to strategy, you have to have elements of operational efficiency, and operational efficiency is ongoing. I could see a world where you have some type of like bucketed service. Like in my mind, I see an ad on my Facebook timeline, on my Instagram timeline that's like, follow these 3 processes and you get to a certain level kind of thing. But I think behind the scenes, you could also get into some teams and some really huge corporations that would be willing to contract you out for new projects that they're deciding to develop. Look at companies who allow their employees to pitch new internal projects and build them out with a small budget. And they need to prove themselves. You want to really narrow down your ideal client. What kind of revenue are they bringing in? What are their, and I mean, get down to psychographics if you can too. Like, who do they need to prove something to? Somebody that needs to prove validity. Somebody that's like in the realm to get a new bank loan. Somebody that's trying to get, a new round of venture capital. Somebody, like, you could actually find yourself working with portfolio managers or working with fund managers to say, like, if your companies are not doing well, you call us in. You are almost the, like, call us in to triage to get your cut, so you investor safe for you so you don't lose your money, kind of thing. And it, you could become well vetted in a way where it's like, if this team can't solve it, this thing probably ain't gonna work. You could really position yourself in that way, I think. So I think you want to drill down to who is your ideal client, how much revenue are they bringing in, and what do they have to prove? Like, I think that could be a really interesting question to ask yourself to really figure out who is the right person for you to work with. But I think
Thanks so
that
much.
there's some larger dollars here. There's some contract dollars for you to get there.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Shelly. We have one last one. Angela had been the last one after Christian. So Angela, you want to ask your question to Shelly?
Thank you. I'm trying not to feel guilty. Thank you, Christine. I'm trying not to feel guilty because I'd rather founders to ask their questions, but I think these are two quick ones you can answer within 3 minutes. First, given your experience as an entrepreneur and helping so many founders, do you plan on raising a venture capital fund, seeing where you are in the ecosystem? That's one, and that could be a quick answer. And also, what is the most reoccurring problem that you see in working with founders in terms of why they think they need additional capital?
Oof, Lord, I got 3 minutes to answer that, Angela. Okay, so one short answer, we are raising a DAF right now. We which is private. Like, you and I could have some conversations about it offline, but the short answer is yes to that part. And let's talk about it, because I think, like, people have been saying to me, like, you're well positioned right now, like, you could do it. And I'm like, I know, but you can't close your fund. Why would I launch mine? Because the reality is fundraising is hard. And to be honest, yes, white males get the funding more than we do, but it's also hard for them too. So, not to, we don't want to give them any credit for anything, but everybody struggles with raising capital for a fund. And there's lots of elements that you have in place, and I want to be really strategic about it. I also don't want to be pushed and rushed to do it. Like, I want to be more strategy about it. But short answer, yes, or syndicate. So syndicate is something that I've been thinking about putting together as Shelly Bell, even outside of Black Girl Ventures, me just putting together a syndicate and running with that, because we got some founders. Like, the level of founders we're seeing now is just, the levels is just leveling up. So it's a different level. Mm-hmm. What are the recurring things I see with founders is that founders have not worked out their business models all the way. And then they just feel entitled to the funding anyway. And so we compare ourselves to white founders or white people, but we don't actually look at the whole white person's journey. Right. So, like, there's so many parts to the founder journey. All we see is the surface. But, like, on the back end, Bill Gates' mom was working at a college. Well, she was like on the, like, some type of group at a college. And while she was working with the group, he was in a computer lab at the college coding. But we don't talk about that part, right? So, like, and I'm just saying that there's so many layers to these different journeys that sometimes, because of history and because of, rightfully so, white supremacy, for us to be thinking about, like, nah, something ain't right here. And sometimes it's not, right? Like, I'm not saying that, yeah, look, racism exists, discrimination exists. I would never tell you that it doesn't. There's also the reality that the entitlement that I think founders sometimes have when they just don't have certain information. So if you're doing business in a white supremacist system, right? But we're also trying to elbow, like, but I should get to be able to do business like me. That's what a conflict is. And we have not yet, as a society, really addressed it. Right? We have not yet, as even an internal community or external founder community, in open and diverse. We just haven't talked about that part. We haven't talked about it at all. Like, We are Black trying to do business in a white supremacist system. We are women trying to do business in a patriarchal system. And that system dictates that you have to act like something that you're not. Act masculine, act, cold, act this way, use this language. That it's adapting, but in my opinion, we need some type of underground railroad. We all skip steps. So, more
Are
on
you
that.
leading us, Shelly?
Listen,
you leading us?
Listen, by the time I've said something, I already done it twice. So
that's right. Come on now.
I do have to go. This is great.
Yes. Thank you so much,
this
Shelly.
time. I really appreciate y'all. It was also great to see friends. So thank y'all so much for coming over. I do have to hop. I'm supposed to be in another mentoring session right
We
now.
appreciate you so much. We hope to have you back again. We knew it was going to be a blowout, so hopefully we can get you back again before end of summer.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Well,
thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you coming through. And again, check us out at wetheplug.com. Also, check us out. We're going to have another monthly town hall event as well with another special guest. Please just check us out. Just network with each other and go from there. So any questions? Go ahead, Christiana.
Make sure you all follow our YouTube page, because we're going to be posting this on that page. So you'll be able to catch whatever you missed with that recording. So definitely stay connected. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Wynn. Thank you, everyone.